morning. So I want to talk a little bit about one of the most divisive topics out there, abortion. So I'll start by asking you a question, and we'll get back to it and we'll answer it. How many abortions do you think are had internationally each year? We'll go with last year, 2019. How many do you think happened across the globe in 2019? And also, how many do you think happened in the United States in 2019? The numbers will shock you. So it's really an indictment on the culture of the world that the abortion topic is so people are so accepting of it. The my body, my choice situation, and I understand the argument, and I'm all about liberty. I think people should make their own decisions regarding everything. The problem is when your decisions impact other people. And that's why we have government, because people cannot stop being assholes to each other. So these entities form to control you. And that's what government is. Especially in the United States, the federal government of the United States was designed with a very simple platform. It's to defend the borders, to make sure that states are following the federal constitution for the most part, and to protect everyone's liberties from the state's governments. So now we've gotten to a point where the federal government is the largest employer in the country, totally opposite of what the founding fathers had envisioned for this country. So here we are. And the only reason I got on abortion today is I came across some just really troubling statistics. I wasn't researching it or anything. I just happened to come across it. And listen, I'm not a well-read expert on the topic, but I do have common sense. And I'm not a Bible-thumping Christian either, but I do believe in God as the creator. And I know there's a lot of arguments to be had there. The biggest one is, evolution and the Big Bang Theory. And the problem with the Big Bang Theory is the ultimate question is, well, okay, where did the original organisms or the original galaxies start? They could never develop a starting point or explain a starting point. So because of that, I believe in God. And I know it's a pretty fantastical thing to believe in, but there's no other explanation. So I'm a Catholic, to be precise. I'm not a practicing Catholic, but I did go to Catholic school for a long time. I do believe in Jesus Christ. And now even the Catholic Church has become so politicized that, they go back and forth with abortion. Look at Joe Biden. He's pro late-term abortion. Just kill those babies even after they come out. If it was intended to be an abortion, these late-term activists, if there was complications and the baby is actually born and not murdered in the womb and comes out breathing, they still want that baby to be able to be smothered and killed because the intent was an abortion. It's unbelievable how this is even a conversation in our society. It's really representative of the downward spin we've been on for a long, long time. So I'll answer the question that I had you ponder to begin this with. In the United States last year, there was 860,000 abortions. Almost a million. Can you imagine? 860,000 people. Internationally, there was 42.4 million abortions. 42.4 million abortions in 1 year. 42 million babies killed. So all the virtue signaling from COVID, the wear your mask, the don't have celebrations with your family. We're coming up on Christmas. I'm sure that'll be frowned upon. But we can't talk about abortion. right? COVID, abortion is 100% death rate. If you intend to have an abortion, you're going to kill somebody. COVID has a death rate of way less than 1%. If we're going to enforce wearing masks, I strongly believe we should enforce wearing condoms. You know, or we could just not enforce either and have liberty. You know, and it's going to be up to the people to choose what they want. And unfortunately, a lot of people love this big government overreach. I know I'm a little bit of a broken record here with this, but it's very important. So one of the arguments for abortion is, you know, everybody argues the outliers. Well, what if somebody gets raped or there's an incest situation? You can't make blanket regulations based off incredibly small percentage of the exceptional circumstances like rape. Why can't we just use common sense and go in and say, okay, if we can establish that there was criminal rape involved here, maybe we can allow an abortion. I understand that, and everybody with common sense understands that. But how have we gotten to a point where it's socially acceptable to kill babies, but it's not socially acceptable to walk around without a diaper on your face? I think our Creator, our God, has got to be incredibly disappointed with the lack of morality being exhibited by governments and people internationally. You know, and the thing about specifically the left in this country is they have no problem killing babies. And then once babies are born, they have no problem totally messing with their hormone levels, changing them from girls to boys. No hormone blocker or hormone enhancer, any sort of hormone manipulation should be given to any child. This is basic common sense. So how is it that politicians are able to argue these points and get people to vote, or a lot of times there is no vote, they just mandate these things, like Joe Biden saying he has no problem, and with an executive order he's going to order that boys that think they're girls are allowed access to women's locker rooms, women's bathrooms in schools. We're not talking about just at Walmart. We're talking about in high schools and middle schools. So if you have a adolescent child, especially a girl, Joe Biden thinks it's okay that a boy who says he thinks he's a girl that day can be in the restroom with your daughter. What are we doing? So I just found those statistics incredibly troubling. I mean, listen, if you were to ask me how many abortions that I think were had in the United States last year, I would have really had no idea. I'm not an expert on this. I'm fundamentally opposed to abortion, but I don't spend a lot of time on it. I don't know what I would have said. Maybe 50,000. 50,000. It's 8 times that number. No, wait. 16 times that number. Is that right? Check my math on it. Almost 1 million abortions in this country last year. So let me ask you about who is the original doctor, and you may be able to answer this in the comments below. How evil did the first doctor who came up with how to perform an abortion? What doctor's in a lab going, how can we figure out how to kill a fetus after it's been conceived? It's just pure evil. It's brutal. How can we not argue these political differences and have some common ground and have a baseline morality from which to argue? We will never come back from being this divided. It will only get worse. So I wish that wasn't the case, and I don't know what the eventual outcome is, but we cannot continue to coexist in our world with such fundamental differences. You know, and if you're watching this video and you've had an abortion in your life, This is not a judgment on you. It really isn't. We can repent for our sins. We make bad decisions, and it's okay. I wish nobody would have ever gotten an abortion. But when society doesn't push back on it, and it's encouraged in some places, of course, naive and unsuspecting people are going to fall victim to it. I'm as opposed to people not taking responsibility for their actions as I am actual abortions. We've created a society that the only answer for our issues is for the government to tell us how to fix them. We're going to get to a point where there's no more personal responsibility. You're not responsible for your own actions. You can make horrible decisions and keep chugging along. And what that leads to is every time we give the government power to make one little decision for us, it turns into another decision they get to make, and another. And before you know it, it's an authoritarian communist regime where everybody is quote unquote the same. There's no more incentive to establish wealth and status in a society. There's no more incentive for innovation. So we're gonna hit a wall where the American ingenuity that makes the world such a great place will be stopped. And then what? Innovation stops, personal responsibility stops, personal freedoms and liberties are no more. Then you have an authoritarian government that rules the world, and everybody is a member of the proletariat or serf class. Now, I know it's a stretch from going to abortion to communism, but if you're not going to be held responsible for your own decisions, that's exactly what's coming. And that's exactly what abortion is. You're given a pass for being irresponsible and having, unprotected sex or whatever the case may be. I have no problem with contraceptives, and I know that might be a little hypocritical to be anti-abortion but be pro-contraceptive. But use your brain, people. Killing a baby is not okay. And if you advocate for it and you think it is, you're an asshole. So that's my rant on abortion. This is not a judgment on people that have had abortions. You can make, mistakes, and you can change your mind in life, and you can become a better person. We've all done it. People change their political beliefs all the time. People flip-flop. But we can't get in. This is not a normal flip-flop scenario where we're arguing some, foreign policy deal. There's children's lives at stake here. So 860,000 babies were killed in America in 2019. Close to 1 million. 442.4 million babies around the world were killed in the womb in 2019. If you're arguing that people need to wear a mask for your virtue signaling shit, you need to be arguing for people to be wearing a condom to save babies' lives. It's very simple. And if you don't have those two viewpoints, if you're not arguing those two at the same time, you're a hypocritical asshole. And that's what the left has turned into. And some of the right. I'm not totally giving the right a pass here. And that's why I think we need a new political party. And I think Trump should have worked harder on that when he first got in office and saw that the right was, they weren't loyal to him. They weren't going to help him get his agenda passed. They wanted to continue their corruption. So early on, Trump should have started establishing a new political party, and he should have jumped onto that tech censorship immediately. But here we are. So, all in all, abortion, no good. It's not okay to kill babies. If you're arguing that it's okay to kill babies, you do not deserve to be in the conversation. You're an asshole. You only care about yourself. You don't care about the future of the world, and you don't care about a living being inside of the womb. You're just trying to skirt personal responsibility because there's some medical procedure that can get you out of a pinch. It's not okay. You need to take responsibility for your actions. We're not all perfect. We all make mistakes, but we have to own up to our mistakes, and it creates true righteousness. It makes you a better person. So there you go. There's my thoughts on abortion. Don't kill babies.